So I finally hit a little over 50 hours, so now it's time for two things on this tractor. I got to do a transaxle fluid change, and I can now install the rear PTO because I wasn't going to waste fluid doing it beforehand. So first I'm going to remove my ripper, get that out of the way, take a little bit of the 3-point hitch off, and we'll go from there. Bear with me a little bit. I'm going to be trying to film 2 videos at once. The install of the PTO, of course, and then the fluid change. So if stuff seems a little mixed up or it looks like things have been done, like if you're watching the fluid change video and you notice some other stuff going on in some of the video, just try to ignore it, but I'm going to do the best I can to get this straight. So in this one, we'll start with fluid change. Before we get started, I just want to give a quick reminder that I now have a Facebook page for the channel. So if you like this channel, please go ahead, check out the Facebook page. Maybe like that. I'll be posting sneak peeks of whatever I do on there, just any random things that I get into. I also have links on there to my eBay page, so please feel free to check that out. All right, so the 3-point is out of the way. That was more so for the PTO. I don't know that you would necessarily need to remove your 3-point if you're just doing the hydraulic fluid change. But anyway, some of the stuff that you're absolutely going to need, of course, is the low viscosity high guard. You're going to want to get probably at least 3, you're going to need at least 4 of these gallon jugs in order to do a 4-wheel drive model. You may want to have a little bit more at the PTO. I'm not sure how much extra the PTO takes. But then if you have a 2-wheel steer model though, or a 2-wheel drive model, it's going to be less. It's going to be 5 quarts less because you don't have to do the front axle. And then if you have a 4-wheel steer model, you're going to be using less in the rear end. So I'll put all those numbers though in the video here. That way you can see exactly how much you're going to need. The other thing you're going to need is the filter itself. It's part number UC24341. That goes on the front of the transaxle. So we'll move you in closer and get started on this fluid change. So for changing transaxle oil, if you have a 4-wheel drive model, of course you're going to have to change front axle fluid as well. The first thing to do is lift the front end of the machine and take off the wheels. The reason we take this off is under here there is a drain plug. Also, this is the fill plug for this side, so you need to be able to access this. Do this to the other side as well. Okay, so I did the whole front end thing because I'm doing this as far as how the directions say in the instructions for changing this. So it just says, you know, get oil pans, whatever. Jack up the front, take the wheels off, that sort of thing. And then it comes back, tells you first to drain this one, which I don't think it matters. The two work together, front and back, but I don't think it's really gonna matter if you drain one before the other. But I'm just gonna do it the way the instructions say for learning's sake. So you're gonna need a 17mm socket for this guy. It's pretty snug on there. Just gonna crack that loose a little bit. And I also will point out that I already loosened the fluid fill on the top under the seat. That way it drains a little easier. And there we go. Slowing down. Now for the front, I did as John Deere instructions show, and I put the front end on a jack. have that one in there as perfectly as it should. All right. So I put the front end on jack stands. Obviously you should, it's safe. The drain bolt is right here on the very bottom of each side's drive motor. You're gonna need a 14mm socket for this one, so a little bit smaller. The instructions just say to remove them all. They don't say a certain sequence. I'm choosing to just start right at the side and we'll go from there. Hopefully this doesn't shoot out too fast. I'm probably gonna have to hold the pan up. I don't have a whole lot of room in here in order to put the pan. So sorry if you can't quite see this. I'll try to angle this. Okay, that did not drain out as fast as I was thinking it would. Probably because I don't have the center one out, which I'm glad I did it this way because now I don't have near the mess that I would have before. Make sure you do this to the other side and we'll move on to the center one once this is drained. All right, you can see we're basically done draining this side. So I'm going to just, it seems like quite a bit came out. I think most of it, other than what's laying in the bottom of the other motor, drained. So I'm just gonna wipe this clean and then put my bolt back in. Move to the center. All right, so a little interesting to get this shot because of my quick hitch being on here. But this is the center drain plug, also 14mm. I don't expect a whole lot's gonna come out of here. I think most of it ran out with the right wheel motor. Trying to keep my pan in the right spot. Running a little more than I was expecting. So we'll let that drain. Down to just a drip, we'll call that good. And in the meantime, my rear drain plug has fully drained. So let's put this back in. All right. And then just make sure I don't got any fluid left over beneath. All right, now we'll go around and do the oil filter. All right, next we're gonna take off this oil filter. It says you can use an oil filter wrench of sorts. You can use this kind. You can use an one of the cup ones that goes over it. Whatever you choose. I'm gonna see if I can't get it off by hand first. It's pretty tight and I'm at a weird angle, so we'll try this, see how it works. Yeah, that was definitely not coming off by hand. And we'll let that drain. All right, we'll clean this up real quick. We've got our new filter here. The manual says to put clean hydraulic fluid on the O-ring. I'm gonna be a rebel. Just use a little bit of old fluid because it looks clean enough, and it's just to lubricate that gasket. I also like to lubricate threads a little bit. And we'll spin this on. Manual says go until the gasket touches, so right there. And then go a maximum of 1 full turn more. So if I look at my orientation of the date here, May 13/20, that's not today's current date. I'll just go till I see that again. I prefer my filters being as tight as I can usually get them if I can, but not more than hand tight. I'm gonna call that good. That's about as tight as I can get it by hand at the angle I am. So that's probably about a half turn. Maybe 2/3 turn, but that should be good. And then we'll go fill her up. Okay, so now that our fluid is all drained, it's time to fill it back up. We're gonna start by removing the fill plug here. It's really nice because it's a 10mm Allen key or hex head. So that's a convenient size. I have one. However, there's not a lot of height here because of the exhaust. So I pretty much have to take it on a pair of vice grips, which I'd rather not do, but I gotta get it out of here. So hopefully it doesn't give you too much trouble. Okay, that was like no effort whatsoever, so. That wasn't too bad. I was expecting to ruin my bit here. And I could probably do that by hand now. Yep. Okay, so that was not as bad as I was expecting it to be. I'm gonna carefully wipe around this. Okay. Now we'll take out these vent plugs on either wheel motor. So these guys are a 12mm, and they're there because while you're filling this, you're gonna fill until it starts coming out your vent holes. Now, I'm on a slightly uneven ground, so I'm willing to bet this one's probably going to start seeping out first. I mean, slightly uneven. It's not ridiculously uneven, but not as flat as I'd like it. I'll go open up my other side and then we'll get going. All right, finally found a funnel. So this front axle is supposed to take 5.3 quarts. So I'm gonna just start pouring and I'll be back when I get close to it so that you can see it likely start to come out. Well, I was either filling it too fast or we're good, but we're overflowing out the fill port. And the other side reached its limit first, so I did not expect that. Well, I guess I'll have a little bit of a mess. Oh, there's that one. Probably just purging air. So that's what you're looking for. Now, whether it's going to overflow out the fill port like mine did every time, I don't know. But I'll let that drip for a little bit. It seems like the other side's dripping the most. So I'll leave it be. Once you're done with this, put your plugs back in and we'll move on to the back. Now after the PTO installation, when you're refilling up your Transaxle fluid, there's a plug in here. You can see where my fingertip is. That's a vent for, this is probably why they have you do that before you put the shield on. And I knew that was probably gonna happen. Oh, got it. All right. That way the gear case can fill up though. So we'll just take that out of there for now. And they say don't fill it up too fast, or you could have fluid come running out of there. So we'll fill it nice and slow and make sure that gets filled all the way up. Then after the rear transaxle, pretty simple. Pull the dipstick out, put in your funnel. Now if you don't have the PTO kit, I don't believe there is a vent plug for the rear transaxle. And no, the instructions aren't saying anything about one either. So you're gonna have to fill it very slowly, or maybe take like a zip tie or something, put it on the corner. That way air can get out around it. That way you're not like glugging fluid in your filter. I have just installed the PTO kit. Obviously, if you're watching the PTO video, you know this. But if you're just watching the transaxle change, I just installed that. So I have a vent on that now, so I shouldn't have that issue. I'm gonna lean this forward and crap, it probably won't stay forward because it's all the way up. Let's see. I'll get perfect. All right, I'm gonna get filling and we'll be back. All right, so I got the tires back on. I got the fluid filled up to where I want it. It's pretty much exactly where it would need to be. However, nothing's cycled yet. It still needs to purge air from the system, and it still needs to pull fluid through the filter that we changed out. So once it does that, it'll probably end up taking another quarter or so. We'll see. So I'm gonna start it up, The manual says run it forward, reverse like 3 times. I'm gonna cycle the hydraulics, both circuits, a couple times. So I'll raise and lower the 3-point a few times, raise and lower the plow, and then we'll let it sit for a bit and see where we're at. All right, we'll let her sit and see where our fluid's at. All right, let's see what we got. Where are we? Barely even. Oh, we're about halfway where we need to be. So we definitely need to add a bit more. I'm going to do that and we'll be back. All right, I added and it started coming out the PTO gear case, so we'll see where we're at now. Looks like we're a little above the hash marks, so it's probably all right for now. I'll probably go drive it back and forth outside a little bit just to get everything flowing a little more. And see where we're at again. All right, it's a new day. I was up pretty late working on this, so let's do another look at this fluid, see where we're at. I'm gonna open both vents here. Or sorry, the one vent, but also of course the fill port. All right, I didn't have any air come out that side, just the fill side. Or sorry, didn't have any pressure release from that side. So let's see where we're at. Also, just make sure when you're checking these fluids with this that you don't have it screwed in. The manual specifically states to just set it on the threads like that. Don't thread it in at all. Just set it down in there and pull it out. So it looks like we're just about a little bit above the hash marks, so I'm gonna call it good. I'm not gonna worry about that being high. Honestly, I think there'll still be a little bit of air in the system that it'll purge out, so I'll just keep an eye on that. Honestly, it is a really good idea to keep an eye on your fluid level there. I check it every time now before I start this mower, just to make sure that nothing happened, that it got low. So it would be a good idea to just check that every time. I know it's a little bit of a pain, but I know a lot of people check oil every time before they start, which there again you should. So I've just gotten in the habit now of checking everything on this, because when I had that one scare of this being low, that really changed it for me. That's one thing that kind of sucks about this Transaxle. You know, it doesn't have any kind of clear
clear reservoir that you can see the level, so it's, you know, you actually got to pull that out to check. On like the K72 that I had in my last mower, you know, that one you could see right from outside. So yeah, I think we'll call that good.
And that is my video for changing the hydraulic fluid in an X700 series garden tractor. Of course, this was for a 4-wheel drive model. If it's 2-wheel drive, it's going to be just the rear end. And if it's a 4-wheel steer, you're going to be using a little less fluid. If you have the rear PTO kit, it took about an extra quart to get me where I needed to be. Of course, though, check your levels. Make sure that, you know, over time it doesn't drop a little bit as air gets purged from the system. So hopefully this was helpful. If you have any other questions or anything, of course, as always, let me know. Other than that, thanks for watching. Have a good one.